Hello, everyone.
Hi, Micah.
How's the volume? Could be a little louder. Oh, I'm supposed to hold it close to my mouth. Catherine is more experienced in this. She'll do it right. How's the volume now? Good. Okay, great. Well, welcome, everyone. I know people are still gathering and settling in, but we're going to kind of kick things off and get started. Before we dive in, I would love to know a little bit about all of you, actually. So maybe just a quick show of hands. How many of you are Mountain View residents? Okay, yeah, we got a good handful here. Thank you for hosting us in your beautiful Pioneer Park. Where else are people coming from? Maybe just like shout out the city where you live. Palo Alto, I heard. Campbell, what was that? Menlo Park, cool. Santa Cruz, you guys might get the award for coming the furthest. Any other cities? Cedarville, Oregon. Yeah, we're a special visitor. I don't think we have many people from Portland, Oregon. San Carlos, okay, great. Well, thank you. So, how about people who have volunteered or attended a canopy event before? Hands. Okay, we have a few. How about people who are brand new to Canopy? Some new friends? Awesome. Cool. Well, we love seeing familiar faces and meeting new friends, so thank you all so much for joining us here today under this beautiful canopy. My name is Micah. I'm on staff at Canopy. For those new to Canopy, we are a local nonprofit that is focused on creating greener and healthier communities by growing the urban forest here in mid-peninsula cities, especially in areas that don't currently have a thriving urban forest. And that phrase, urban forest, when you hear it for the first time, it almost seems like a little bit of an oxymoron, urban and forest, but it refers to all of the amazing trees as well as the plants and understory that live here alongside us in our cities, our parks, our neighborhoods, our schools, our backyards, is all the urban forest. And in addition to being very amazing living organisms, the urban forest is also really critical infrastructure for our communities. And the trees around us impact our physical health and our mental health and our environmental health in actually really profound ways every day. And I know Catherine is going to talk more about that, so I don't want to steal her thunder. I'll just mention one of my favorite benefits as someone who can be a little bit high-strung. Just hanging out with the trees, just being near trees, has been shown to measurably lower your blood pressure and your stress hormones and your respiration, and actually restore and improve cognitive functions like memory and attention, which is all in short supply these days. So congratulations for being here. Just by spending some time under this gorgeous oak tree, you are doing something great for your body and your brain. And actually doubly so today, which gets me to our main event, music also has really amazing impacts on your brain. And today you get trees and music together in one, all thanks to Catherine Nagala Lynn. Did I say it right? Yes. Yes. She is a classically trained singer as well as a certified arborist and a longtime Canopy friend. And she is the creative genius behind this Tree-cital program. And we also are joined by another wonderful local musician, Shannon Wang, who's a talented pianist who accompanies groups throughout the Bay Area and is lending her talents here today. So last thing before I pass it on over to them, I want to say a huge thank you to the City of Mountain View Public Library and Kyle over there. Give him a hand. Thank you, Kyle. He's the one who set up these speakers and booked this beautiful park for us. We love working with the City of Mountain View, not only to put together this event with the library, but also the city is doing amazing things for their urban forests and investing in the trees here to create a more healthy and resilient community for Mountain View residents as well as all of us to enjoy. So thank you to the city. If you want to learn more about the city or Canopy, we have a little table set up over there. Our amazing volunteer Anna is there to answer your questions. We also have a couple more Canopy staff. You can raise your hand, Beth. And I think our volunteer an engagement manager, and Dira might be here later. So, and myself, I'm happy to answer your questions. Find us after the program. We'd love to say hi. All right, without further ado, Catherine, take it away.
Thank you so much, Micah. I really appreciate all the work that Canopy and you specifically have put into this recital. So yeah, let's get started. So people have been asking me for years, do you sing to the trees? And I say, no. Why would I do a thing like that? And then one day it hit me, this very famous aria that I just sang, Ombra from Handel's Soave, is literally someone singing to a tree in an opera because they think it looks so cool. Hi, babe. And so yes, I do sing to the trees, especially today. I was singing to this lovely tree whose shade is very fantastic. Ombra means shade, so that the song is about not only the tree, but the shade that it provides. It's actually sung to a London plane tree specifically, but that's okay. And shade is something that we really take for granted. It's like, oh, it's a nice day, I'll go sit in the shade, right? But shade actually has really profound public health impacts. It can reduce surface temperatures by, I looked this up to make sure, up to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. That's ridiculous. That's a huge difference. And in 2006, the Los Angeles Times did an investigation that found that 260 people died in California from heat, from overheating. There was a heat wave that year, and so that gives you an idea of what shade does for us. I mean, could it have prevented all of those deaths? Probably not, but some of them for sure. Tree-lined streets versus not tree-lined streets. There are many more cases of overheating and heat stroke inside people's homes on streets without trees. So there you go, shade. It's a thing we need. And of course, odes to individual trees are a thing. When I was looking through all the music that I could sing for this, I kept finding these odes to specific trees. And they're not all about shade. A lot of them, most of them probably, are about mental health and people's emotional state. And as Micah said, I don't know where she went. As Micah said, trees also have a really profound impact on our mental health as well as our physical health. So these next couple of songs are in that vein. The first one is Der Lindenbaum by Schubert from his Winterreise song cycle. And in that one, the speaker has just been rejected by the love of his life and he's having a really hard time. And the tree from his childhood home says, hey, just come here, just sit under my shade and like chill out and you'll be okay, you'll find peace. And in the other one, Asturiana, the tree doesn't necessarily comfort the person, but the tree commiserates with them. The text is, to see if it would console me, I got close to a tree. And because it saw me crying, it cried. And that's it. That's the whole text. I love that. All right.
Brunnen vor dem Tore, da steht ein Lindenbaum. Ich träumt in seinem Schatten so manchen süßen Traum. Ich schnitt in seine Rinde so manches liebe Wort. Es zog ihn Freud und Leide immer fort. Ich muss auch heute wandern, vorbei in tiefer Nacht. Erraschen der Töne durchgemacht und seine Zweige rauschten, als riefen sie mir zu. Umher zu mir Geselle, du findest deine Ruhe. Der kalte Winde bliesen mir grad ins Angesicht. Der Hut flog mir vom Kopfe, ich wendete mich nicht. Nun bin ich manche Stunde entfernt von jenem Ort und höre immer Rauschen Sonne entfernt von jenem Ort. Und immer hör ich Straschen durch Ferne dort. Ihr findest deine Ruhe.
Let's wait till the end, baby. Thank you, though. This is my daughter, Matilda. Now, related to the mental health benefits of trees, trees provide a sense of place for people. And this is a really common theme in song poetry and poetry in general that mentions trees. Often it's not about a tree, but trees are used to illustrate how beautiful and how comfortable a place is. And this really comes into play in songs about homesickness. And fruit trees, in particular, are a big part of that. And that's because fruit trees are not only beautiful, they provide scenery, they also provide sustenance. And because they have such high maintenance needs, I don't know how many people have fruit trees, I do, and it's like having a pet you can eat. You really have to take care of it, but then it takes care of you too, and it's this great mutual relationship. And these next two pieces are again about homesickness specifically. Connais-tu le pays is an opera aria sung by a character who was kidnapped from her home as a child, and she mostly describes the landscape. She doesn't really describe her home or her family, she just remembers the landscape. And she mentions 3 trees, actually, in the space of one song. She mentions orange trees, golden fruit trees, and a large shade tree. And the second song, 杂诗一王维, which translates to a random thought, is a setting of an 8th century poem. So this is the oldest poetry on the program by far. And in it, it's a very short poem, and the speaker is asking someone what's going on in their hometown, but the only specific thing they ask about is my winter plum blooming yet? And I think this may actually refer to a person, like a daughter they maybe had in their old age, but still, they have a fruit tree and they're thinking of it. So far we've talked about positive feelings regarding trees, but there are some negative feelings regarding trees. I don't know if anybody has ever met somebody who's like, I hate trees, or I hate this tree. I meet those people. Hi, babe. And looking through tree poetry, I was like, oh, I'll do a happy forest song. There are lots of songs about forests. Well, guess what? They're all sad. So if you're talking about a fruit tree or a shade tree that's like cultivated and sort of domesticated, then it's cute, it's great, it's nice. But forests are scary places where there's magic and there's too much shade. It's dark and there could be danger lurking and you're like alone with your thoughts. And it's kind of funny because our culture here now really loves trees and loves forests, which I wonder if that's a response to deforestation, maybe. But it seems like that's a fairly recent cultural shift. And I often meet clients in my consulting practice who find shade oppressive and who have these heavily wooded properties and say, oh, I just wish I had more light. And of course that varies a lot from person to person because there are other people who love it. And but it's kind of easy to dismiss those people like, oh, you just don't know the benefits of trees, right? But it is this kind of deep-seated, low-level human thing, apparently. And I think the better you can understand where somebody's coming from on something like that, the more you can work together to find a solution that really works for them instead of just saying, oh, well, you don't like trees, we can't talk, that's a non-starter, right? And my goal is always to find a solution we can all be happy with. The first piece is I Know a Bank, and it's Oberon's monologue from Midsummer Night's Dream, set by Benjamin Britten. And this one talks about sort of fairies in the woods and like magical potions that can make you do crazy things like fall in love with people. And it's this idea that like something could be lurking around every tree that's gonna come get you. And the second one is my own setting of stopping by woods on a snowy evening, which people think of as a Christmas poem and it's like jolly and stuff. I don't see that in it personally. I see sort of the opposite. I see kind of a mental health crisis, I guess, and it could be around the holidays because that can be hard for people. But I definitely read it as a darker piece, and that definitely comes across in my setting of it.
I dances and delight. And then a snake throws her enameled skin. We'd wide enough to wrap a fairy in. And with the juice of this I'll streak her eyes and make her full of hateful fantasies, Take thou some of it and seek through this grove. A sweet Athenian lady is in love with a disdainful youth. Anoint his eyes, but do it when the next thing he espies may be the lady. Thou shalt know the man by the Athenian garments he hath on. Whose words these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. Horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. And deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
As we wrap up, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Canopy and to Micah in particular for all the incredible work you've done on this. The organizing, the programs, the publicity, just all of it. It's really, really great. I really appreciate everything. And Vanessa, your predecessor, who couldn't be here, she left Canopy as we were planning it, and I went, oh no, but then I got Micah, so it was completely fine. But thank you to Vanessa as well. She couldn't be here today. She's in Arizona now. And thank you to the library and to Kyle. This setup is awesome. I appreciate everything that you've done. And again, the publicity too on your website. You're fantastic, so thank you. And can we get a round of applause for the library? I know we already did this, but it's so exciting. And for Canopy also. And Shannon, you're really great. Thank you so much for all the rehearsals and all the going back and forth and the getting you a score on, when was that, Thursday evening? Sorry. And so let's have a round of applause for Shannon. She's awesome. Now, this last set I'll be holding music for because one of the pieces has existed for less than a week, the other one for less than 2 weeks. And it speaks to something that Canopy really championed. They were excited in particular about Eric's piece, the last one on the program. Right tree, right place. You can't just plant a tree, right? It's got to be a good species, and it's got to be appropriate for your particular landscape, and it needs to be in a location where it won't cause problems. Trees have lots and lots of benefits, but they can also create safety concerns, of course. The first piece, Too Dirty, Too Much Bushy. The name sounds kind of funny out of context, but it's the reaction of a Southern Sierra Miwok elder to seeing Yosemite Valley after having been driven out for 78 years and returning to it. And in that 78 years, of course, fire was excluded. And fire was a really huge way, and still is in some places where it's allowed, is a huge way that indigenous Californians manage the landscape. Europeans, when they came to California, they were like, oh, it's this like beautiful, virgin, untrammeled, just big expanse of nature, but it really wasn't. It was managed with fire and with other methods by lots of indigenous people all over the state. And so the reason we're dealing with major wildfires right now is that we haven't been burning. The California landscape is so adapted to fire at this point, both from indigenous burning practices and just in general the plants, that you basically have your choice between frequent low-intensity fire and infrequent high-intensity fire. And we're seeing what infrequent high-intensity fire looks like. Unfortunately, it's difficult to implement like prescribed burns to get all that cleared out because the problem is so bad right now, and also because there's a public perception that, oh no, you're burning the forest, but it's gotta burn. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. But there is some progress in this direction, and there is a lot of science around this now, and indigenous knowledge is being brought back into the process as well, which is helping. This text, by the way, is taken from a book called Tending the Wild, which I very highly recommend. It is an academic text, but it's very beautiful in a lot of passages. I was deeply touched by it, and so I reached out to the author to ask if I could set some excerpts from it, and she said yes. And she couldn't be here today because I emailed her on Friday morning and said, hey, I actually finished your piece. So that is the first piece in this set. The second piece is called Tree. I was thrilled when I joined Convivium for their spring set. There's some Convivium folks over there. And one of the pieces, there was a maybe, was a piece by the conductor called Tree. And it's about how if you plant a redwood too close to your house, it's not a good idea because you'll have to choose between the redwood and the house at some point. Which is a lot of what I do, actually. I get so many calls of people who are like, my tree is ruining my foundation, or I'm afraid my tree is going to ruin my foundation, or why did they plant a tree next to my foundation? And I say, I don't know, man. It's actually not always a problem because the way houses are built, foundations are super compacted, and drainage is theoretically supposed to go away from the house, and so there's nothing there for tree roots to find. But if you have a drainage problem, all bets are off, and I see that all the time. It can go really wrong really fast. So it spoke to me, and we didn't end up performing it, but I was able to finagle a solo version of it, because of course we were going to do a choral version. And here it is today, the premiere.
In the old days, there used to be deer, quail, gray squirrels, rabbits. They burned to keep down the brush. They burned to keep down the brush. The forest wouldn't get away from you. It wouldn't take all the timber like it would now. In those times, the creeks ran all year round. You could fish all season. You could fish all season. No, you can't. There's no water. Timber and brush now take all the water. There never were the willows in the creeks like there are now. Yosemite when I was a kid. You could see from one end of the valley to the other. Now you can't even see off the road. There were big pines and big oaks and no brush. There were nice meadows in the stand is threatening to leave us. It is foolish to let a young redwood grow. It is foolish to let a young redwood grow. It is foolish, foolish to let a young redwood grow. Next to us, next to us, next to us. Even in this of soup pots and books. Already the first branch tips brush at the window. Brush at the window. Brush at the window, brush at the window, softly, calmly, softly, softly, calmly, softly. Immensity taps at your life. 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 Taps at your life. Taps at your life. At your life. It is foolish to let a young redwood grow. It is foolish to let a young redwood grow. It is foolish, foolish to let a young redwood grow next to us, next to us.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I want to get those for me. Thank you. That's so sweet of you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you everybody for coming. I really appreciate your time today, and I look forward to chatting with you after.
Can we have one more huge round of applause for Catherine and Shannon? That was just truly special and incredible. Thank you from Canopy and the city, also to all of you for joining us for this beautiful day. We will be posting the text that Catherine shared, some really interesting, including the original text from those original songs. We will be posting it on our webpage if you're curious. And if you are, you can visit our table over here with the lovely Anna Gomez. And you can sign up for our e-news, or if you just write your email and just say, event follow-up or something, we won't send you too many emails. I'll just send you the material after this. And if you have any questions, again, we'd love to say hello to you, answer your questions, and otherwise just enjoy the rest of this truly beautiful weekend. And thank you again so much, Catherine and Shannon, and thank you, all of you. Take care.